Welcome back to Access Anime. I'm Henshin Ikeda, and today I'll be doing a walkthrough review of Sword Art Online episode 22. Now, if you remember from last episode, we see Asuna, and she's no longer in her birdcage. She's escaped. Now, instead of actually trying to get off the tree, she stumbles across a map and finds the experiment room. Now, she does actually go to the experiment room, and she sees all these brains of players being held against their will within the game. Now, she is caught, sadly, but she manages to take a systems administrative card with her. So I thought that was definitely worth mentioning. Now moving past that, we do find out King Oberon has found out, and he's doubled the guards, 24/7 surveillance on her, so she's not going to be getting out anytime soon, sadly. Now we are taken to Kirito, and he is in a run right at the base of the tree, and we see Yui pop out of his pocket, and she actually knows where Asuna is. She tells Kirito, "I know where mommy's at." So I thought that was definitely worth mentioning. I had to say that. But at the same time, we see Leafa trying to tell Kirito that there's a barrier at the top of the tree stopping people from, flying past it. And he just loses it once he knows that Asuna's up there. And, because Yui opened her mouth, he actually listens and kind of doesn't push Leafa aside, but ignores her and goes straight up in the air without even listening to Leafa in general, because she did point out there is a barrier. So he's pretty much going nowhere. But again, that was last episode, and this is a new episode. So again, I'll keep my final thoughts, my rating at the end of the clip, so stay tuned. But let's dive right in. Now, we open up this scene with Kirito, and he is in a run, and he is in the air, and he's trying to go see Asuna because of what Yui told him. Now again, it doesn't work because he runs into the barrier, sadly, so it was all for nothing. Now, we do see Leafa try to catch up and help him, or at least talk him out of it, per se, and that really doesn't work because he's just trying to break the barrier, so it's not really working. So he's trying to get to the top of the tree, but again, it's definitely not working. But again, that's where we opened up. Now moving past that, we see Asuna. Now somehow she's back in the birdcage, obviously. She hears Yui's voice. She doesn't know how, she doesn't see Yui, but she hears Yui's voice, and then she's thinking about Kirito. Now I don't know how that's possible, but moving on, we find out Yui, she was actually using the warning mode to talk to Asuna in general, or at least get a message out. So that was definitely interesting. I don't know why she didn't do that at the start, but I guess it only works when she's in close range to Asuna, apparently. Moving on past that, we see Asuna. She has a good feeling that Kirito is actually down below, so instead of ignoring Yui in general, she takes her systems administrative card she stole and drops it down to Kirito, hoping that if Kirito is there, it's kind of like a sign that Asuna is up above. Now, we don't know exactly what this card's going to do exactly, because it's not recognized throughout this episode, so we still don't know the capabilities of the systems administrative card, but we'll find out hopefully in the next episode. But moving on past that, we do see Kirito. He does have the systems administrative card. Now, Leafa identifies the card as being unknown. She doesn't know what it is capable of doing, so she's never seen it before. Neither has Kirito in general, or Yui for that matter. So that's kind of shocking. I thought maybe we might have got a little more exposure on what this card can and cannot do, but moving on past that to the next scene. Now, we do see apparently Kirito asking Leafa all these questions, because now that he knows where, Asuna's at, he wants to make sure he goes straight to her. And I didn't understand this, but now he's leaving Leafa. He shakes her hand, and he's like, "I can go on from here by myself. Thank you." I'm like, really? She's like an amazing player, and obviously she's your cousin in real life, but we don't know that yet. He doesn't know that. I'm just pointing that out. And yet you're just going to leave her to go gallivanting off by yourself to the front of the gates. But that's Kirito for you. But moving on, he does actually ask Leafa how to get inside of the tree in general. And apparently there's a gate that's at the base of the tree, and it's got guardians inside. I thought that was kind of unique, but sorry, I digress. Moving on past that, apparently it's at the dome tree base. So it's at the dome. There's a dome at the tree base, and there's going to be guardians there. So again, we see Kirito saying goodbye to Leafa in general, and he's out. He just bugs right out and goes all the way down. Now, I assume we were going to see a fight right away, and that really wasn't the case. But moving on past that, we see Kirito. Now, this is kind of like an epic moment, in my opinion, probably the second best part throughout this episode. We see Kirito enter this dome at the base of the tree, because he's about to, attempt to use the systems administrative card he got from Asuna. Because apparently it doesn't work outside of the tree, and he's hoping, I'm assuming, if he goes inside of the tree, it might work or open up some doors. We don't know. But he does enter at his own risk inside of this dome at the base of the tree. And again, this is the most epic part. I have to point this out. The most epic part throughout this episode. Okay, the second most epic. but I still love this the most anyways. Sorry, I digress. Moving on. We see him enter the building, this little dome, and it looks like he's not even going to get prepared, but we see all these guardians, like hundreds of them, pop up out of nowhere, and they're attacking him one after the next, and this is what we like to see. We love seeing Kirito going left and right, taking everyone out, and it gets, when I mean it, epic. I mean, he's seeing Asuna. Every blow is for Asuna. One step closer, he gets to see Asuna. So he's putting his heart, his soul, everything. So it is an amazing battle. I don't care who you are, this is an amazing battle. And you can definitely see, you can feel the emotion. I have to point that out. It's an amazing battle. I'm sorry, moving on past that. Now, he gets to a point where he no longer can really continue, because he sees all these archers start, they're aiming at him, and all these arrows are going through him. And there's hundreds of them, literally. After he just took out all of these swordsmen, these guardians with swords, it looked like he got a good amount of them. And by the way, it was amazing how he took them out. We see all these archers, which are also guardians, just arrows all through, Kirito in general. I mean, he already has cuts on his left hand, his right hand. It's an epic battle. And then it kind of draws down, because now he's got arrows in him, he's got swords in him. I'm not talking about 2 or 3, like 5 or 6 different arrows. 4 or 5 different swords are now in his chest, and he's falling. And we've never seen Kirito really die in this series. Sadly, he actually ends up losing this battle, and I was very stunned. I was like, really? We saw all this emotion being tossed at us, like, really? He lost? And for the love of me, I was kind of pissed. I was like, really? So he ends up falling, and that's it. He's dead. And we see the words resurrect timer right above him. Like, he's got 583 seconds or so until I guess he fully dies. And I thought this was it. We see his corpse in midair, and he's got this little flame going on, and he's got all this regret. He's just spinning off in his own little world, like all this regret about not being able to actually get to Asuna. It's like, it's over now, really? That's how I thought. I was like, we're gonna end it there? No. That's all I'm going to say, no, because you know what? That ain't going to happen. Because Leafa, she appears. Good for you, Leafa. She jumps right in. She ignores Kirito. Guess what? She went with him. Well, Kirito was already in by himself, but somehow she managed to get inside as well and save him at the last moment. She just takes his flame, or I guess his soul, or whatever you want to call it, and she just bails. She goes straight out of the door. She's trying to escape. Now she's getting targeted by the archers are targeting her, the swordsmen are targeting her, all these guardians are all on her, thousands of them. I didn't even think she'd make it, to be honest, but somehow she manages to get outside. And it was very epic, and she does revive Kirito, so he doesn't die in this episode. Now, he lost the battle, but the war is still to come. I'm just putting that out there. So he didn't officially die within the game, he just lost that little battle. So he lost technically, but he didn't lose completely because he's still in it. But I digress. Moving on. It gets kind of interesting in this next scene, because you know what? Kirito mentions Asuna, because he's breaking down and he's talking to Leafa. He's like, I have to see Asuna. This is all for Asuna, we have to have her back. I miss her, etc. He goes off into his little rant about it. And Leafa kind of overhears the name Asuna, and she's stunned. Come on, isn't it that obvious? We know it's the Asuna. Come on, it's your cousin's girl. She's starting to realize. She's putting the pieces together. This is what we were waiting for. This is what it was all the build-up for the past 2 or 3 episodes for this exact little scene. Guess what? She loses it. And she puts 2 and 2 together. It's like, wait, brother? Right then and there, she couldn't take it. And then Kirito picks up on the exact same thing. He's like, wait, Sugyu? And then she breaks down, like I said, and she logs off. She says, I can't handle this. And she breaks down, and then she logs off, and she's in her room. Kirito logs off, and he ends up trying to find, Leafa in her bedroom, obviously, and he's trying to understand, well, what's going on. And then we find out the truth. Kirito finally understands what's happening, and as does Leafa. But we see Leafa's, her feelings, emotions are now all poured out. She's like, I just got over loving you, brother. I was in love with Kirito, online. And now she's just so confused. Her feelings are all butchered. She's heartbroken. Wow. It's a nuclear breakdown, and Kirito is just absorbing all this in, and he doesn't know what to say, except he says, "I'm sorry." Okay, no, you do never say that to someone. If you are caught in that situation, a sorry? Are you kidding me? That will never work. Ever. Ever. You've literally emotionally broken this woman. She is broken goods, more or less. You have a sorry? Really? That's not going to help. I'm surprised she didn't slap him. I was waiting for a slap, a punch, I don't know, for her to collapse and start crying on his shoulder. She just slams the door and says, "Leave me alone," and she goes back to her bed. And Kirito, we end the episode with Kirito with his back against the door, sliding down, trying to make sense out of everything. And that's where we end the episode. Now, as for final thoughts, well, first of all, the systems administrative card that Kirito now has, I'm wondering what it does. Does it open any specific doors, maybe an item or something? We know it accesses the system council, but in order for him to use the card, to my knowledge, he has to be inside the tree at that the exact same system council the card came from. So I'm interested to see how he's going to use it. Now, as for Asuna, I hope she's going to be free in the next episode or so, or at least Kirito's going to see her or hear her voice, because this is torment. This is really a horrible torment. I'm just putting that out there. But moving on, I also have to add, Oberon, is he going to come back in next episode? I mean, now that he knows Asuna's escaped once, maybe he's going to try to punish her or something. Yeah, we don't know. I'm expecting him to do something. Just something. Now, also in the next episode, now that we know Kirito's first attempt has failed and he knows what's ahead of him, I'm wondering if he's going to wait for the Sylph leader as well as the Cat Sith leader as well to see if they're going to have an all-out war against the Guardians. Well, we don't know. Just putting that out there. But that ends it for my final thoughts. As per my rating, I'm feeling a good 4 out of 5 right now. I mean, part of me wants to give it a 3.5 out of 5, kind of, but at the same time, I want to give this a 4.5 out of 5 because the drama was there, the emotional set was there. Perfect. It was right on. And you know what? The fighting, it was amazing. I wasn't expecting Kirito to really lose, so that kind of lost a few points because we wanted to see Kirito unleash all of his power, and we did not see that, so that was kind of a letdown. I mean, we see him going berserk, and it was amazing. But then we saw the drawbacks when he lost, when he was dead, technically in this little battle he had. I thought it was over, and he's all gloomy. I hate when I see his dark side like that, where he gives up all hope, and he's like, "I'm sorry, Asuna." It's like, no, you fight. Even if you're dead, you fight. I'm sorry. I mean, it's just a game in theory, but you know he's fighting for Asuna regardless. So if you die, you still pick yourself back up, log back on, and you get to it. But again, I feel definitely a 4 out of 5 works for this episode. So again, final rating, 4 out of 5. Now again, that ends it for my walkthrough and review of Sword Art Online episode 22. Definitely comment down below, thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe above. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Let me know what you think is going to happen in the next episode coming up. And again, follow me on Twitter and check me out. But again, that ends it for now. I still have one more walkthrough and review to do today. I believe it's One Piece, and I think I may have one more after that I might do tomorrow morning. But definitely stay tuned for that. But before I go, I gotta say it. Can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.